I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
Gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
We just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to another BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is your friend, Mr. BDA, and alongside with me, as always, my co-host, the one, the only King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for joining us today on this evening's episode. We are going to be talking about the recent comments from Errol Spence saying he would beat a prime Floyd Mayweather. We're going to be opening up the phone lines, taking your calls, talking about this. We're going to be analyzing also the fact that there seems to be a lot of people jumping from the bandwagon. Floyd Mayweather, once the darling of certain boxing fans, is now an object or a target of derision. So again, we're going to be opening up the phone calls. But before we do that, before we get down to the fun, guys, you know the drill. Hit the like button, subscribe to BDA Live, our secondary channel. Check out our film analysis that we did on Andrade, Demetrius Andrade, that is, and whether he's good enough to beat Canelo and be the best middleweight in the world. Also, if you got a couple of shekels lying around, you can send them our way via the super chat feature, the PayPal page, or the Patreon page. Okay, you can do all of that. Don't be afraid. The most important thing, of course, is that you keep spreading the BDA gospel far and wide. There's still a lot of heathens out there untouched by the word of the BDA arena, boxing debate arena, that is. So go on ahead and do that. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Who do we got in the chat room, by the way? We got SSB28, Official Scorecard Boxing. Official says, BDA, are you going to make a review of Malik Scott's OnlyFans page? He's got an OnlyFans page? What's he up to, this guy? I mean, I know it's hard being retiring as a boxer and finding something to do and a way to make money, but I mean, to become a porn star, I mean, that's... shout out to Actual Facts and Boxing Talk, Jason Bourne, Cabell T, St. Brits. Wait a minute. Yeah, Brian Harkin. I thought I saw somebody else. Yeah, Jason Bourne, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Jason Bourne says, don't forget me. I didn't forget you. Come on. What's the matter with you? By the way, see, we got... Forget me. Do we have... Who's in here? Oh, we got to recognize the Matrix on the line. Recognize, are you there?
Hello. It's me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I can figure that one out. I don't know if it's somebody pretending to be you. Well, listen, thank you for being here, Recognize, and everybody. Like I said, we're going to be opening up the phone lines, but we're going to talk about Errol Spence's recent comments that he made. Now, he didn't say anything, when it comes to controversial comments, this pales in comparison to the shitstorm that Devin Haney got himself into, which, by the way, I think we can all agree, he just said something stupid and we move on, right? But
Yep.
This one, it's more related to boxing. I don't think it's not gonna have people in a stupor like it had with Devin Haney. But nevertheless, I do see some division. So here's what he said. Here's what Errol Spence said a couple of days ago. This is via Boxing Scene, all right? Spence, 100% focus in my prime, I would beat Mayweather. First of all, what is he saying in my prime? Like, aren't you? You are in your prime, right? He's always been in his prime. So what's he?
He's trying to tell people he's out of his prime.
You think so? That's what I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think he's sort of like saying, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
No, come on. All right, listen, hold on a second. Before we continue, shout out to Chris K. Just donated with the super chat. Says, I want to see Clarissa's OnlyFans page. Ah, come on. Nobody wants to see. What's the matter with you? Shout out to Chris K. for his contribution in that very disturbing comment. Oh, sorry, recognize. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I think he's trying to say he's not in his prime anymore. He drinks too much. Got into that car accident. He might not be in his prime. I don't think he beats Mayweather in his prime, like he likes to say, you know? No. Mayweather probably outboxed him.
Yeah, I don't understand why he said that, my prime. Well, I mean, we already know you're in your prime, supposedly. And he also came out on boxing, made up.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, man, I don't know. It was happening yesterday, too, on Second Renaissance. I was having a couple of connection issues. That's why I had to keep popping in and out of the Discord. By the way, yeah, he's saying now, Errol Spence is coming out saying, well, I wasn't really 100% when I was fighting, but now I'm going to be rededicated. I'm thinking, oh boy, there were rumors that he was an alcoholic, probably doing other stuff, ballooning up to 170 pounds, according to his own words. So, I mean, this is why I'm interested in this recent comments, because it's all leading up to the fact, and culminating, by the way, with a terrible car accident that really was a miracle that he didn't get hurt in there. Which, by the way,
killed. He's lucky he didn't get killed.
I still maintain he wasn't in the car. I still maintain that wasn't him in the actual automobile.
So you think it was a clone of him?
I think somebody crashed. No, I think he fell down the stairs or something when he was high or whatever, and they couldn't explain the injury.
Beat him up, or somebody beat him up.
Or somebody beat him up. Yeah, so they said, you know what? Let's fake a car accident. Say he was in a car accident. That way he doesn't lose any prestige, any respect. No, but that doesn't make any sense. Obviously, I'm kidding. No, but seriously, man, this recent comments he's making, like I said, with the fact that he was in the car accident, he probably under the influence or something, it doesn't speak well for his dedication or his future in regards to that dedication. So anyway, let's continue here with the comments themselves about the Mayweather situation. Spence was asked about this by former NBA player Matt Barnes as part of Showtime's All the Smoke podcast. They finally took that expression, that smoke. Get that smoke, bro. Come on and get that. And they made it, they put it in the title of something. Disgusting. Anyway, he says, yeah, man. He says, 100% focus in my prime. I think I would beat Floyd, Spence said in an episode. He's 26 and now 21. Floyd is very mentally tough, which is true. Spence said, he's very mentally tough. You know, I would cut him off. I would use my jab a lot. A lot of people, like even the Oscar De La Hoya fight, Oscar should have used his jab a lot more. I would use my jab. I would throw combinations. I would work the body and then work the head. Because a lot of people go to the head and then they work the body. But if you go for the head first, then you can't hit him in the head. And then you can't hit him. Okay, first of all, let me reread this sentence, man. Let me reread the sentence. I would throw combinations, I would work the body and then work the head. Because a lot of people, they go to the head and then they work the body. But if you go for the head and then you can't hit him in the head, and then you can't hit him in the head. Like that sounds like a classic Errol Spence sentence right there. He'd probably just smoked a couple of roofies, right before the interview, so he could be nice and relaxed.
He reminds me of a tarantaran. You know, you ever hear that saying?
No.
A tarantaran?
What does that mean? I don't know what that means. What is that, like a porn thing?
No, it's just like, just look at him. Like, duh, he has that face that you put a question about it.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. He's been watching, he's been spending too much time in the Cheech and Chong universe, is what you're saying? Yeah. I don't know if that's what you're saying. Anyway, listen.
So he's missing teeth? He's missing a bunch of teeth?
2 teeth, apparently. 2 teeth. Not a whole bunch.
He's missing 2. Which
okay. I thought it was like a bunch of them. All right.
Well, you know what? They were saying that it's because, again, I'm not an expert. Del Boy was talking about this over at Johnny Boy's channel. He said something about teeth in the upper region. You know, not they can have more of an impact on the jaw itself. Because again, if he said that Spence said that they're going to install some things before they put the actual caps there. And so, because the gums or so whatever, the bones have to acclimatize to something, a foreign object being shoved there. So that's why he's saying. So that's why he can't spar, and it's gonna take a while before that face heals, you know, and he's ready to take a shot. So even then, you can see just 2 teeth. That's the whole drama it's creating. So I don't know if he's gonna be able to take a punch. That's a big thing. But let's go back here to the Mayweather thing real quick. So he says, I would work the body. I would work the body and then work the head, and they just try to break him down physically because I know he's not breaking him down mentally. He's just like one of those tough fighters, just like Sean Porter. You're not going to break him down mentally. You can break him down physically, but mentally he's always going to be there. So I would just try to break him down physically. All right, so let's go with this last sentence. He says Mayweather is very mentally tough. I agree with that. What about you guys?
He's mentally tough. We saw it against Mosley. He got hurt, and he was badly hurt. He managed to stay composed and survived. And then obviously we know what happened after. I do think he's mentally strong.
I think that he would have given Floyd problems early in the fight because of his size, and he could use the jab and go to the body a bit. But I don't see him any different than some of the guys that Floyd beat. Like, he's better than some, but not, you know, not the top elite. He's not better than Cotto. He's not better than, you know, a few other guys that for whatever reason I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, I think Floyd would have, he would have beat him like 8-4, something like that, 8-4, 12 rounds.
Well, is Spence a big welterweight?
Yes.
I mean, he is a big welterweight, that's for sure. But he's not like he would have had to been overwhelming to beat Floyd. I think a guy like Sugar Ray Leonard would have did that. He would have been like very overwhelming with how many punches he can let off and the power. I don't see like Spence offsetting Floyd to the point where he can just bully him throughout the whole fight and win on points. I see Floyd making adjustments towards him in the second half and then pulling out the fight.
Very good point.
Like he did most opponents.
Yeah.
Yeah, because here's the reason why I really focus on that paragraph is because a lot of people, and we've had this discussion in the past about how good was Mayweather, blah, blah, blah. I still maintain that his mental toughness was very underrated. Because of the way he fought, people assumed that he was a guy that didn't want to get hit, blah, blah, blah. But when he got pushed, and he did get pushed in certain fights, he pushed back. Look at the Miguel Cotto fight, for example, which was perhaps the one that was the most consistently tough throughout the whole fight. Because usually when Floyd had tough times, it was usually in the early part of the fight, and then, like Reckon I said, he usually took over based on his ring IQ and his stamina. But against Cotto, it was throughout the whole fight, he had to be sharp, and he was taking some good punishment in there. But the thing I liked about Floyd is you rewatch his fights. Whenever he did get hit with a clean shot, which was rare, he would always come back with something. He had that Marc Antonio Barrera, Sugar Leonard quality of, you hit me, I'm coming right back at you. By the way, H Money, Mr. DAZN. I don't think that. All right, first of all, there's a guy in the chat says H Money, Mr. DAZN, and he's got a picture of E.T. I don't think that's the real.
E.T. It says the zone in the back.
Yeah, I don't think that's the real. I don't think something tells me that's not the real H Money. But he says, "Who do you have? Prime Spence versus Prime Margarito." That's a good. First of all, thank you,
That's a good fight.
I know some people would immediately say Spence, of course, Spence, but come on, man, that would be a tough
I don't think it's that easy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Margarito was very dangerous. It would have, because these are two guys that are capable of coming forward and digging to the body, and you know, it would have been a good fight. I can't say right now who I think would have won.
You gotta pick somebody, recognize. You gotta pick somebody.
Margarito.
Oh.
Yeah, I would have taken Margarito to beat him. I think he would have been mentally too tough for Spence.
By the way, I was gonna make a joke about how you're picking Margarito because he hold on a second. I was gonna make a joke about you're picking Margarito because he beat up Cotto for you. But then I remember, didn't Butcher just told me because I wasn't there last. I was dropping in and out. Didn't Tito start? Tito started saying like, "Hey, recognize. Remember when Salvador Sanchez beat who was it? Not Laporte, Gomez. Wilfred Gomez. Yeah. I mean, Tito, what's the matter with you, man?
I barely remember it. I was like 9 years old or 8 when that fight happened or some shit like.
Your show will go live.
But okay, so you're picking Margarito. That's interesting because again, like Bucho said, most people would say Spence because he's fresher in people's minds. But don't forget, guys, Margarito beat Cotto, and people are gonna say, "Well, he cheated." You don't know that, you know. And even in the Mosley fight,
Cotto, remember he beat Sergio. I mean, Sergio wasn't a big name back then. Like he had some good wins, man.
Right.
He beat Claudio. He's a tough motherfucker. Look, man, I think it's a 50-50 fight between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I slighted Margarito.
Because I mean, if you really want to get down to it, what's a better win? What's a better destruction, rather? The Spence destruction of Kell Brook or the Margarito destruction of Cotto?
Obviously. The Cotto. Think about that fight, man. He went in there undefeated. A lot of people thought that he I think he was the favorite going in. You know, and he came in and he was losing the fight early and got him late.
Absolutely, man. So
unless you could prove the gloves were tainted, fuck off. He beat Cotto.
Even in the Mosley fight, they couldn't prove that he had plaster in there. They said they had ingredients.
Do you trust Nassim?
No,
brother Nassim?
No. By the way, remember Precise used to say that who calls themselves brother? Because you can tell that's a nickname he gave himself. Nobody started. What do you think about the recognize people that are overly religious, like he is with his Islam thing, and who are call themselves brothers? And he's from the streets too, or he was from the streets. I don't know. I get a hustler vibe from him. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that, recognize.
Well, look, I don't put it past them that they think that he's like that somebody called him brother Nazim. I could see that. That's not uncommon, but like he's a hustler and all that stuff. Of course he is, man. Guys, listen, man. That video that Precise put up a few years back. I mean, I already didn't like the guy. Like, I already knew there was some bullshit. Like that confirmed it for me. That dude is you don't trust people like that. I would tell him, fuck out of here. You're not taking my gloves. You're not taking my gloves. I want to see your boy's glove first. Then I'll let you see my glove.
That's a good point, man. Yeah. You turn it around on them because listen, people say that, and I think Jimmy said that Margarito's trainer Capetillo, they say that the reputation he had was that he was a piece of shit. Margarito, on the other hand, 50-50. Like some people say he was pretty rough on his sparring partners, but hey, look, it's professional boxing. He's got a rough and tumble style. You either accept the job and get paid, or you get the fuck out of there. The things
he never got suspended, right? He never got kicked out of boxing. Like
I think that California.
Well, he got suspended.
Yeah.
Excuse me, he did get suspended, but he didn't lose his license. In terms of like what happened with Tony Resto, where he was actually he's banned for life, and then he also went to prison.
Exactly, that never happened. In fact, he was still able to fight outside of the United States. I think, in fact, he was actually able to fight in other states, I believe, but he chose to respect the suspension. His team decided to accept the suspension and respect it and not fight until it was actually lifted. But by the way, we're getting away from the whole subject of today's podcast, which is the Errol Spence Mayweather. Now we went into the Margarito route because we're comparing Spence to Margarito, which, by the way, Mayweather never fought Margarito. Now, I don't know if you guys fault him for that. I see it as one of those decisions where Mayweather fought virtually everybody out there, and he just couldn't get to Margarito. He never saw the incentive to fight Margarito, just like De La Hoya never saw the incentive to fight Winky Wright or Vernon Forrest. But nevertheless, they did fight everybody that was out there, virtually everybody. What do you guys think? Do we fault him for not fighting
Yeah,
Margarito?
I think a bit calculated Mayweather not to fight. Look, man, he might have looked at Margarito and said that guy's just too big for me. The same thing for Paul Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe those guys he felt like, yo, they don't even belong at welterweight. You know,
exactly.
Right, like he's probably like,
Probably
what?
said that's not fair.
Yeah, exactly. Where they can make weight, but in his mind, he's like, these guys are like fucking middleweights. They shouldn't be here. Definitely with Paul Williams. I'm sure he thought that.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way,
yeah, he didn't want to risk it. He didn't want to take that risk of fighting a guy like if he can't hurt Margarito, he's in trouble. You know, that's the one thing about Margarito. You got to hurt that motherfucker.
Why did he take 1 year off? What was the excuse?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say it's how lucky was Mayweather that Paul Williams was around to take care of business from him in 2007 and 2008 when he came to Margarito, because nobody else was really gonna beat Margarito. Well, I mean, obviously Shane Mosley was gonna beat him. I think Shane Mosley would have always beaten him the way he did. But other than Paul Williams and Margarito, you know, Hatton wouldn't have been able to go anywhere near Margarito. Pacquiao wasn't fighting at welterweight at that time either. Claudio had already been beaten by Margarito. Zab Judah wasn't going to beat Margarito. So you know what I mean? So it's very fortuitous that there was another freak in the welterweight division in Paul Williams that was able to take care of Margarito. But your question was, Bucho, why did he take that 1 year off? I think it was partly because of that. He didn't want to continually, because if he didn't fight those guys, people were going to start asking the question.
The official reason.
He wanted to retire.
Boxing didn't appreciate him. I don't know, some shit like that.
Come on.
It was, listen, Floyd had a plan. You know, let me retire for a little bit. Boxing world wants to, you know, Pacquiao looks like he's emerging to become a star. That could always dangle that fight in front of them. This all was pre-calculated, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mayweather knew what he was doing. He's a smart kid, you know, in terms of like marketing himself.
By the way,
cherry
guys,
picking?
Phone lines are open.
For sure.
Guys, phone lines are open. Don't be afraid. Call in. Let us know. Do you think Errol Spence in his prime beats Mayweather? Why is Errol Spence all of a sudden now talking a lot of smack? You know, we're going to get into the character that he's shown throughout these last 3 years. But okay, so you guys
Errol Spence of the last two fights could give Mayweather problems.
Mm-hmm.
He could definitely give Mayweather problems. I just don't see him doing anything long term that wins him, you know, in the fight, meaning 12 rounds, that would win him a decision over Mayweather. I think Mayweather just, you know, makes that adjustment that he usually does, take probably his jab away and starts beating him to the punch, you know.
Well, let's talk about that.
Range.
Let's talk about that then. Let's talk about the stylistic matchup, because obviously we're talking a prime Floyd Mayweather. Now, if we're going to talk prime Floyd Mayweather, we have to go to the Mayweather of the welterweight division. So we'll take the Mayweather who beat Zab Judah, for example, and Hatton. And we'll put that up against the Errol Spence that beat Kell Brook. Now, Kell Brook, guys, he was landing his share of shots in that fight. And Errol Spence wasn't necessarily doing much to limit that. Errol Spence's defense is mostly using his feet to get out of range and then coming right back at you and trying to work your body and pressure you. Or he'll use his guard a little bit, but he doesn't move his head. And Kell Brook was hitting him with those right hands. Now, guys, you know Mayweather, that gosh darn right hand of his, about as straight and quick as any right hand I've ever seen in my years of watching boxing. What do you guys think about that stylistic matchup?
Yeah, like you just said, you know, how he was getting hit a lot by Kell Brook. He was getting hit a lot against Sean Porter. Yeah, that's the opportunity I see for Floyd. And then Floyd was fast with that straight right, and then could get himself out of trouble too at the same time. Like boom, and he's out of there. I just don't see Spence getting over that for 12 rounds and just, like I said, man, pulling out the fight. He would have to like knock Mayweather out, and I don't think he could. If you can't knock out Garcia, he's not knocking out Mayweather.
And you know what, man? That right hand, by the way, Mayweather was a good puncher too. This is people make him out. Some people make him out to be Corey Spinks. That's what Hatton thought when he was going up against Mayweather, and you saw what happened to Hatton. He got chopped up and stopped. Also, don't get me wrong though, Errol Spence does give Mayweather a tough fight. I think he gives anybody a tough fight. But let me ask you this then, though: do you think Floyd Mayweather actually would? How wide a decision would it be? Would it be a competitive like 8-4 fight, or do you think at some point Mayweather just takes over? And
I think a competitive 8-4 fight. Because the one thing about Errol Spence, he brings the pressure, but he brings it through a jab. That's why I say that'll win him fights, win him rounds early. Floyd will take that. Go look at the Oscar De La Hoya fight. Even though with that fight, De La Hoya kind of like stopped throwing the jab. It was a big difference. But Floyd was good at making those little adjustments. And once he made that adjustment, I rarely saw a guy make the adjustment back to offset Floyd and start winning some rounds later. I just don't see it happening. I mean, and here's another thing about Floyd, right? Is that when he would find himself like he couldn't outbox the guy because he was getting hit off the back foot, then he starts standing inside and he uses his speed to get you first, right? He hits you with 2, you hit him with 1, maybe, you know what I'm saying? So he was good at that as well. I think of the Cotto fight when Cotto started winning in the mid rounds. He started winning, and then like late, Floyd said, "Fuck it, I think I gotta fight this dude," and he started fighting him. And he just said, "I don't think I could do this off the back foot. He's catching me with the jab, and he's pinning me against the ropes." So he started fighting him a little bit toe to toe, and we saw what happened when he did that. Yeah, I don't think he's better than Cotto. I don't think Spence is a better fighter than him. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I got you. And by the way, speaking of that, Butcher, did you send Gonzalo an invite? Because I can't invite him straight up here.
I did.
You did? Okay, just curious. Okay, now speaking of that, about whether Spence is better than Cotto, there was a discussion on the comment section of that article that I was reading to you. Now, here's a comment that I found quite interesting. This guy says, it's hard to say in regards to a Spence Mayweather fight. I've never seen Floyd against an A-level fighter before, but then again, Spence damn near lost to Sean Porter. It's a good fight, but I'm leaning towards Mayweather. Since the Porter fight, I can't help but think Spence is a bit overrated. He's currently the most proven fighter at 147, but hardly an all-time great. I think Crawford's a much stronger candidate. Now, first of all, let's talk about this. The second part, and I'm going to get to the first part first later, but this guy says, I'm starting to see, I can't help but think that Spence is a bit overrated. No fucking shit. People were overrated. At the peak of his overrating was right prior to the Porter fight, and we covered that on this channel. We went to the message boards and all that. People were saying, oh, Spence is going to brutalize Porter. It's not going to be close. He's going to murder him. And we were saying, look, listen, it's boxing. Sean Porter's never been completely outclassed. He's just as conditioned as Spence, even though he doesn't hit as hard. It's not going to be easy. Now, all of a sudden, he struggled a little bit against Porter, which is what we expected. And people are saying, well, maybe Spence isn't as good as we thought he was. Well, he still has a long way to go. A long way to go. So I don't understand where this whole thing about Spence. Oh, by the way, we got a phone call. Hold on a sec. I'm going to continue this little rant in a couple of seconds. But before we do that, all right, well, let's go to the phone calls real quick. 773, you're on the air. 773.
Guess what I did, guys?
Oh, is this Kevin?
This is Kevin from Chicago. Guess what I did?
Thank you. What did you do?
Remember I called them last week talking shit about the TBV? Calling
Right.
a bunch of clowns. So I had to call in. I had to get my last word on it because I said, I ain't listening to that show no more. I'm going to call in one more time, get the final say, and I'm unsubscribing. That's it. I ain't tuning in that garbage show. So I called in. I said, for you clowns to say Lomachenko's ancestors had anything to do with American slavery,
come on.
it's ignorance at worst. And I'll leave it at that. It's ignorant. That's it.
All right.
And I call them a bunch of dumb N-words.
No, wait a minute. No, listen. What's the matter with you, Jack? I mean, Kevin, you gotta take it easy with the whole race thing, man. You're obsessed with the race. It's boxing, you know.
Don't become like them.
I'm obsessed with it because this is boxing. Every day with these people, one thing or another.
These people? Whoa! What are you talking about? These people?
What do you mean?
Hey, I say that all the time. Okay,
let's stick to
Kevin, Kevin, what do you mean these people?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What do you mean by that?
Listen, let's stick to the subject,
Yeah.
Kevin. Let's stick to the subject. Mayweather versus.
Let's stick to the subject.
What do you think about Spence's comments?
I hate doing these hypotheticals. I hate doing these hypotheticals because fantasy matchups, the pound for pound best of all time, isn't it? It's like trying to rank superheroes, man. It's like just opinions, and I don't know.
No, it's not.
Say this.
No, it's not. There's
Floyd
one's
Mayweather.
fictional, the other one's real, man. Come on, what's the matter with you?
Well, fictional in the comic book world, nerd world, they think it's real. But anyways, when it comes to Mayweather, did he fight the level of competition? Terrence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao, who was in his prime. It seems like that era was it. Someone said A-level. He never seen Floyd Mayweather fight an A-level fighter. Do you think all the fighters he fought were A-level? I mean, look, he was a good fighter, but he wasn't an A-level fighter. He was a B-level fighter. He was decent.
He fought A-level fighters. He did fight. Kevin, I would say this. He did fight A-level fighters who looked like they were coming off, a little weak from what they used to be. I would say that, like, Cotto's an A-level fighter. Manny Pacquiao's an A-level fighter. Let me see. De La Hoya's an A-level fighter. All these guys were A-level fighters. He fought them on his terms. That's basically what he did. Maybe the only person that I wouldn't say he completely fought on his terms was De La Hoya. But he caught him at the right time, right? He didn't fight De La Hoya, who fucking ran through. I wouldn't say run through, but that had that nice run at welterweight and fought guys like Trinidad, Corte, Pernell Whitaker. He didn't fight that one. He fought the guy that was coming off a couple of losses, but he did fight A-level fighters, just not on the. What's the word I'm looking for? Just not at their best, I guess, for lack of a better word. He didn't fight them at the very best at that time,
Well, if I may interject on that.
Someone like Shane Mosley. Like Shane Mosley, he hurt him bad, had him on Square Street, and Shane Mosley wasn't even close to his prime. So I feel like there's a lot of examples of that. Everyone knows that Manny Pacquiao fight was years too late. It was 5 years too late. Even though Pacquiao's got a resurgence, I feel like, I don't know, it's hard to say how we do when he was hitting on all cylinders about 5 years before. I still think you got to give Mayweather his credit. A lot of people don't like to give him his credit, say he's picking shoes and this and that. I don't think that's the case. I think he definitely did some of that, but he's definitely very talented, knows how to win, knows how to adjust. And as far as Spence goes, he's talented, he's young, he's in his prime. And just based on that, I feel like it'd be a good fight, but Mayweather, he would do just enough to win. He'd try to squeak out a decision like he does in a lot of these fights. He knows how to win. That's what it comes down to. Mayweather knows how to win, even if it's against lesser competition, older competition. The young, hungry lion coming up is not experienced. He knows how to beat guys like that. So, I guess that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, listen, yeah, that's a criticism that's been thrown at Mayweather for years now about whether there was always some asterisk next to his wins, and the point is well taken, Kevin. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, TVV are a bunch of dumb enters.
Okay, now wait, you know what, man, Kevin? I mean, what's the what did he say? Did he actually say the word? I think I heard
the last word.
yeah, I shouldn't have given the last word. All right, thank you, Kevin, for calling in. I suppose. Yeah, listen, guys. Let's keep the fucking. We're talking boxing here, for Pete's sakes. Go listen to "We Are the World" or something if you have that type of vitriol towards your fellow man. We here at BDA, we're all about peace and love.
Come to Second Renaissance, man. That's what you gotta do.
What are you trying to say, man? Come on. All right, but I will say this about Mayweather, though. And it's something I said about Lomachenko too. The same criticism that Lomachenko gets is a little bit of the same that the Mayweather takes. You can always pick apart a guy's record and say, well, this win has an asterisk. This win has an asterisk. This win wasn't on the level. That win wasn't on that. Nah, a win's a win. Nobody goes into the ring 100%. Now, of course, you can make what's it called? You can make an argument that certain fights and wins aren't on the level, but the sheer amount and volume of Mayweather wins, you got to give him credit.
Mayweather has one of the best resumes. I mean, look at the fighters he's got. Look, I know that these fights were like they just happened a little too late, right? And those guys' careers, but what he's got, like six guys that are like Hall of Famers or gonna be Hall of Famers. You know, you can say that. I mean, here's a question. Like, name me a boxer that's beaten the most Hall of Famers, and you probably have to go way back, right? You probably would have to go the guys of the 40s, 50s, or even before that.
All right.
You know, so Mayweather beat a lot of Hall of Famers in his time, and that's why him and Manny Pacquiao are regarded as the two best fighters of their generation. For me, it's Manny Pacquiao, but over Mayweather. But Mayweather's right there. If you got Mayweather or Pacquiao, I mean, it's not like you're picking a scrub. You're picking somebody who's just go look up his resume, and he's got some of the best names in there.
Well, you know what? Let's take away the De La Hoya win, if you want to say that's tainted, because De La Hoya was half a cokehead by that time. Okay, so he beat, I'm talking about Mayweather, beat up Corrales, which to my, if you press me to say what's his best performance, that still has to be perhaps one of his best performances. He beat Castillo, who I do consider an A-level fighter for his time, considering what he went on to do afterwards. He was a very, very tough cookie to eat in there, and Mayweather passed the test twice. Yes, it was very close, and in fact, a lot of people believe he lost the first fight, but he got the win in the second one. So those are two fantastic wins pre-welterweight campaign. Then he's got the Cotto win, and and the Pacquiao win. That right there, that's four guys that were very dominant in their time. Now, come on. And the way he beat, I mean, yeah, look, okay, the Pacquiao fight, I didn't like the way it was fought. I don't think anybody liked it other than Mayweather's immediate family. But he won. He beat a guy. Give Mayweather credit for that fight, because Timothy Bradley tried to do it in the third one right after Pacquiao lost to Mayweather, and he couldn't pull it off.
Try what?
He tried to outbox Pacquiao.
Yeah, but Floyd didn't even fight. It wasn't a fight. All right.
I know it wasn't.
He was coaching the whole time.
Yeah,
he wasn't. He didn't outbox Pacquiao, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So what did he do?
I don't think anybody should have won. That basically what I'm saying.
Okay, wait, what?
Yeah, it was
nobody won.
Fight.
Not even the fans. It was a disgrace. He put a black eye on boxing. Remember how many people bought that fucking pay-per-view? Remember what Jim Lampley said? Like the pay-per-view services were like going down or whatever because so many people were buying it. This was boxing's greatest opportunity. So that's what I'm telling you. Floyd is not the best of all time. He's a disgrace just because of that performance.
Whoa.
Well, it is, man. He put a black eye on boxing. Floyd held boxing? How did he help boxing?
Okay, but because of that one fight,
getting those $1 million pay-per-views or $800,000 pay-per-view, those 800,000 pay-per-view buys and almost 1 million sometimes, which those numbers are suspect, by the way, when he fought Ortiz, but whatever. The reason why he was doing those kind of numbers was because Pacquiao was doing the same thing. They were both helping each other, right? Because everybody thought that eventually they would fight. But after they fought, what happened? Listen, Floyd, when he fought in his farewell fight against Andre Berto, right? Farewell fight. That's supposed to be like, well, everybody's gonna tune in, right? They tuned in with Floyd and Guerrero, or Floyd against Ortiz. For sure, they're gonna show up for his last fight. I mean, this is historical. Nah, man, he didn't even do anything. The numbers weren't even close to what he was doing before.
By the way, I gotta
fight to a historical fucking figure like Floyd. Nobody
correct
showed
you
up.
on that. I gotta correct you on that. People didn't come out to see the Guerrero fight either. So you said
it was 100,000.
I mean, come on, that's not
He
a million.
100, no, I know. Listen, that Berto fight did much less.
I know.
Yeah,
I know what I'm saying.
They reported 500,000.
Yeah, and also remember that people didn't come out to see the Maidana fights either. In terms of pay-per-view, it was very, very lackluster. They were very but that was when people were tired and said, "Listen, if you're not gonna fight Pacquiao, we're not gonna pay to see you fight."
They said it was 400,000. I remember the Berto fight did 400,000 pay-per-view,
which
Probably
isn't
did
bad.
less than that. That's what they reported, right?
Yeah, exactly, man.
Hey, by the way, isn't it
Because
interesting
there was no point, because he already had fought Pacquiao. So what was the point of the next? Like, if people, why you gonna you know what you're gonna get with Floyd anyways, and it doesn't matter if he was.
He's fighting
it was his last fight.
About that fight.
Recognize it was his last fight. Don't you think you want to be there? You want to pay for that more? You want to be sitting there and going like, "Yep, I saw Mayweather's last fight. I was there." Nah, nobody gave a fuck.
No.
My team
Floyd would have said, "I'll fight Keith Thurman in my last fight."
Yeah,
people would have showed up. They would have been like,
absolutely.
"Oh yeah."
By the way, guys,
he didn't want to fight Thurman. By the way, huh? Remember that?
All right,
I think he even said like, "Oh, that he's too old or something." Like,
all right,
he did say
my
like
team.
that, yeah.
Can you guys my team over yours in the chat room says there's a reason nobody says anything about Muhammad Ali being the greatest, and debate Floyd Mayweather's claim to TBE. All right, shout out to my team over yours. What does that mean? I don't understand though. There's a reason nobody says anything about Muhammad Ali being the greatest. What do you mean nobody says that? Plenty of people say that he's the greatest.
What?
And
he's the greatest. Everybody keeps mentioning Ali. He's the face of boxing, right?
That's true, right?
Do you think he misspelled
Whether
that?
you agree with it or not, mainstream media thinks Muhammad Ali is the face of boxing.
Well, listen. Thank you, my team over yours, for your comment, and try to clarify it in the chat room because we're having a hard time. Maybe you misspelled or something, so I don't know exactly what you were trying. Oh yeah, he's saying Muhammad Ali is the greatest. Okay, yeah, that's what I. And even then, I would disagree though. I would disagree with Muhammad Ali.
I would agree with that too. Yeah, I would disagree.
But I get your point, my team over yours. We get your point, and thank you for your contribution, man. Really appreciate it, guys. Don't forget, call in.
Ali's already too, but
phone lines are open. Don't be afraid.
He did have a great resume. Resume.
One of the best, of course, yeah. But now, okay, but Bucho, I gotta call you out here on this one because you're saying, wow, that fight against Pacquiao was a disgrace, and he's a disgrace for the fight. So everything he did before that, it's all wiped out.
Well, it was already kind of like everything he did before. I mean, it wasn't enough to be called one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Wow!
Right now,
he's definitely in the top 100. Come on, man.
100, yeah. I mean, okay, yes, because there's 100 is a lot, man. Like, but he's not top 50. Listen, we should do a special episode on Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, we should.
Look, in my lifetime, he's in my lifetime. Just he's like definitely at least top 10, top 5.
Absolutely, man. I mean, come on. You look at the list of him and Pacquiao.
Let's do a list. Let's write it down
right now.
Yes.
Or a special episode later on.
10 names. And everybody in the chat can join, obviously.
All right. No, in no particular order. I'm just gonna start naming them all.
So, by the way, before we do that, recognize.
Hold on.
Before we do that, just shout out to Endgame, who says, who will end up with the bigger legacy, Pacquiao or Mayweather? All right, we're gonna get to that when we finish this list. Thank you, Endgame, for your contribution, and I guarantee you we are going to get to that answer. Why did you ask me there, Bucho?
If you can write them down on OBS,
I'll write them. Okay, well,
I'm gonna start from the 80s. Great fighters. All right, Marvin Hagler.
Wait, hold on. Okay, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard. Roberto Duran, even though he's further, he's before the 80s.
Julio Cesar Chavez. Cesar Chavez. Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Vander Holyfield. Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
Wait,
hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're 7.
Are you writing them down, Bucho? Or?
I'm writing them down, but just so you show people, I guess that's why I wanted you to write it down.
Well, you send it to me on Discord later so I can write it because I didn't know exactly what we were. All right, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
James Toney, Roy Jones, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather.
Okay, wait, hold on. But you said
I went past 10, right?
Wait a minute. This is
Sugar Ray Leonard.
All right, just put. All right, I'm gonna eliminate 2 of those guys, but just put them in there for now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Maybe I have.
You want me to read your list? I'm going to read to recognize his list.
Guys, hold on. Maybe I'm a little fucked up in the head here, but what exactly is the list? Who rates higher than Mayweather, right?
Greatest fighters I've seen in my lifetime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's that, 35, 40 years? When did you start watching boxing?
I started watching boxing at 10. I'm fucking 47 today. So that's like 37 years.
Fucking old man.
All right. Okay, let's go. So Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Duran, Chavez, Tyson, Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, James Toney, Roy Jones Jr., Pacquiao.
And Floyd.
That's 10. And with Floyd, it's 11. You got to take somebody out.
Okay. If I had to take somebody out, let's take out one of the heavyweights.
Tyson, Holyfield, Lewis.
But what does this prove, though? Did those guys have better resumes than Floyd?
Well, I was trying to make a point. I wanted to recognize to get confused because I knew he was going to fill up the list and maybe not put Floyd. I mean, there's going to be somebody left out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this might come down to popularity for me because they were all very good.
Yeah.
And who's the least popular? Who you think would be the least popular to me?
Popular to you?
In that list right there. You had to guess.
Yo, hold on. Before I answer your question, you didn't even add Trinidad in there.
Right, but because I don't think Trinidad. Okay, like I mean, if I keep going, I could.
No, Hopkins. No, but the thing is, this is the thing though. Floyd, it's not. I don't think he was much better than Trinidad, man, or Hopkins in terms of domination.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like I agree. That's why I said no particular order.
Yeah.
I'm just like shooting off the top of my head. I mean, I think those are like, I even forgot Tommy Hearns. Yeah, that's how many. There's been some good fighters, man. We've gotten some good ones. At least,
and even you can go Finito Lopez. I guess you can add him in there.
Mm-hmm. Finito, you got who else am I missing? You got
Chocolatito, I guess.
Trinidad. You got Trinidad. Like you said, you got Winky Wright. You got Bernard Hopkins. You got
but Winky wouldn't. You would put him in that type of list.
Like the best fighters that I've seen, yeah. Like if you keep, if I have to keep naming them, if I have to keep like naming, going down and down, 30 maybe, yeah. He's got Joe Kawasaki, another guy.
All right, now while Bucho
I can name like 20 off the top of my head.
Now
I can name 20 great fighters.
Here's the thing. Well, I wanted to get to something about Mayweather. One criticism that I will throw his way was that. Can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. One criticism that I will throw his way was compared to all those guys you mentioned, recognize, he played it way too safe certain times where he could have really pushed the envelope and maybe gotten a stoppage win. He decided, you know what, I'm winning. Why take the risk? And that's why he's not as beloved. He's famous, but there's a difference between being famous and being loved. Eric Morales, people love him because he gave people a show. Even if he was winning, he would go in the 12th round and try to stop the other guy.
I even forgot about those guys.
Oh yeah, you forgot the featherweights, huh? Yeah, you're right.
Dude, I mean, if you really think about it, man, that list is fucking hard. That's a hard list. Like, honest, at least for me. Pernell Whitaker, I didn't even mention him. Pernell was like a fucking. You could put him definitely in the top 10.
Now it's interesting though, with Pernell Whitaker, people didn't really like him back in the day. He was like the Mayweather of his time. People said, well, he doesn't stop anybody. Chavez is more entertaining. So it's interesting that now in hindsight, people appreciate Whitaker more. Whereas, and it might be the same thing with Mayweather in a couple of more years. People might start thinking, you know what? This guy, he really did. And by the way, recognize, I don't know if you can see the my screen sharing there. You forgot to put on your list Sergio Martinez.
Who the fuck is that?
That's Sergio Martinez, man. That's his weighing picture, I think. That's when he was weighing in for the Paul Williams fight, I think.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious. That's somebody hacked his phone, I think, in Argentina, and it became like national news or something. But it's like, you actually thought that was his weighing picture, man? Come on.
This dude's a homo.
Oh man.
No,
but seriously,
he better be sending that to a girl, man. Even that's suspect. Like, you know, I've sent some freaky pictures to girls, and trust me, it was never nothing like that. It was like, here's my cock. That's something like that. But,
yeah, man.
But all this sexy posing and shit, that's real gay, man. Real gay.
Sergio Martinez was always suspect for me, and especially when the audio. I don't know if you ever heard somebody they hacked his phone and they actually got the audio from his training camps, which I don't know what they were doing, but I can play a little bit for you here. Hold on.
Here we go.
I don't know what that was all about, man.
I don't know what that's about either. I don't want to know either.
All right, listen, I don't know what it was all about. But okay. You know what? Tommy Hearns. Okay, I wanted to get to that because we're talking. This whole thing started about with Errol Spence and whether he could beat, what's his name, Floyd Mayweather. Now, before we get back to your list, recognize, because I know Bucho wanted to do something special with it. Stylistically, though, I'm reading the boxing scene comments, and people were like, "Well, Errol Spence Floyd Mayweather never fought anybody like Errol Spence. He did fight somebody similar, a guy who applied smart pressure, and that was Jose Luis Castillo. Now, because of that Castillo fight, for a long time, people thought, oh, if you want to beat Mayweather, you got to put pressure. You got to put pressure. And I think we've spoken about this on the show before. I disagree. I think the style that would have given Mayweather problems was a style he never really fought all that much, and that was a tall boxer puncher. Yeah. I'm talking a guy like Vernon Forrest, maybe Tommy even Hearns. A guy like Tommy Hearns. Exactly. There you go. He never had to fight. The closest guy, I think, and I don't know if you tell me what you think about it, De La Hoya.
Right. And De La Hoya at that point was, you know, even though he had been looking better in a couple of fights going into that one, but he was definitely like not the same. He wasn't the same De La Hoya of before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, could he have beaten the De La Hoya that fought Trinidad, that beat Ike Cortez, that beat Pernell Whitaker? I don't think so. I don't think he could beat that dude.
That's interesting, man. I want to get back to that. Before that,
remember he had that sneaky left hook too. I say sneaky because, you know, there's nothing sneaky about a fucking left hook that could take your head off.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way he would catch his opponent. They wouldn't see it, and he would just boom. You were done. And Mayweather would have got hit with one of those. He would have been in so much trouble. I don't think he would have been able to recover.
De La Hoya, to me, was, if you want to compare it to somebody from the present, take prime Nonito Donaire, but with better boxing skills and a hard jab, consistent jab. That was De La Hoya.
Yeah.
And that left hook, man, it bailed him out against Ike Cortez. It massacred all those guys at lightweight, and even to a certain extent, junior welterweight. Welterweight, he wasn't.
Why Telemundo used to always say Oka instead of Oscar? Oscar.
Well,
they used to say Oka de la Hoya.
Oka. I think that's got something to do with it's like with in Trinidad. They wouldn't say Trinidad, they would Trinidad. Tito Trinidad.
No, I know they would say I know they would add the S, but it would, like I would hear it fast. It sounded like they were saying Oka de la Hoya.
I don't know. That's a more like a Caribbean thing there, the Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. But yeah, it's true. Oca de la olla, va a pelear hoy. Y te digo una cosa, pega duro, chico. I was like, all right. But it's interesting. De La Hoya, though, people say, he says, remember when he lost to Mayweather and they asked him, why didn't you keep throwing the jab? And he goes, well, it wasn't the night of the jab. Shut up. Just give Mayweather credit that he took away your jab.
It wasn't the night of the jab.
It wasn't the night. It's like, why didn't you beat this guy? Well, it wasn't the night of my win. I chose not to win. It's like, what is that? See, that's why I recognize, Mayweather graded me. He graded me. I didn't like his character. But if you were to force me to who I could interview or who would make the better interview, I think Mayweather, by virtue of the fact that he's actually a little bit more honest than De La Hoya. De La Hoya always struck me as a guy who calculated every answer. And even then, he spewed off a whole bunch of things that got him in trouble. Like, remember when he said that he beat Arum in court? I forget over what they were bickering. He said, Arum's still angry at me because I beat the biggest Jew that's ever come out of Harvard. And people,
nice.
And people threw the whole anti-Semite thing at him. He had to apologize. And it's like, Oscar, man, maybe just, I don't know.
Right, you did say that. Yeah, I forgot that he said the Jew thing.
And that's why Arum's still salty, by the way, because De La Hoya is one of the few guys, I suspect, one of the few boxers who he used to promote that did manage to get a little bit of a win in there in court.
Remember when Bob Arum, I don't know if he was just talking shit or whatever, but remember when Bob Arum said, this was around the time where everybody was accusing Manny Pacquiao of taking steroids, and he said, and including De La Hoya, and Bob Arum said, should we dig back into De La Hoya's medical records?
Oh.
He knew something, right? Like, by saying that shit, I was like, oh, he knew something. Or maybe it was just bullshit, you know?
But you know what?
I've always suspected that De La Hoya could have taken something.
Yeah, all these guys. But you bring up an interesting point about how much stuff do these promoters know that never comes out?
It's like, okay, we're business partners, right? I'm gonna know certain things about you. Me and you will probably, deal with like the same lawyers and stuff like that. That I could just, hey, between you and me, did fucking BDA test positive for cocaine?
Oh.
And maybe you don't want me to know that, but he tells me, right? He's like, yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'm
sure something like that happened, BDA. It had to.
But yeah, I was just asking the rhetorical question. Like, imagine some of this, especially a guy like Arum, who's been in the business for about 50 years now.
Yeah,
some of the stuff.
Think about the 70s. He was involved with even before that. Like, I would say in the 60s, the late 60s. He was probably in the game already. So you're talking about 50 plus years, man. This fucking dude's been around.
Amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. But all right, so what? Oh yeah, so you were talking about then the fighters that you would, because again, we're talking about Errol Spence says he would have beaten Floyd Mayweather. So I was talking about how. Okay, you know what? To kickstart back this conversation.
Shit, Mike McCallum. Think about Mike McCallum. Damn, there's so many names. I mean, I'm not gonna say that they're better than some of the guys I mentioned, but like this, I really think about it, man. I watched a lot of great fighters. Yeah, I did watch a lot of really good fighters. Anywhere from really good to like great. There's a lot of guys on that list.
And I would say more entertaining too. If you want to count those type of things. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. If you want to count those type of things, much more entertaining, absolutely, than Floyd Mayweather. Now, something I wanted to talk about the lawyer here, but I'm going to bring this up later if we have the time. Real quick, I just want to bring this article up then, this comment that this person made about Mayweather and Crawford. I mean, Mayweather and Spence potentially fighting. He says, okay, so he said he's never seen Floyd fight an A-level fighter. I mean, I disagree with that. Like I told you, he fought Castillo, he fought Corrales, he beat Pacquiao, he beat Hatton, was an A-level fighter, although a little undersized, but hey, it wasn't like there was 2-3 divisions apart the same way he fought Juan Marquez. So that's that right there. And then this guy says, this one I really took umbrage with. He says, you need to do your research. When Cotto fought Floyd in 2012, he was 31, but he had taken an horrific beating against Margarito in 2008, who cheated. First of all, there's so many things wrong there. Let's start with the Margarito thing. We don't know if he cheated against Cotto. And in fact, if you look at the Mosley fight, that's enough. I mean, that's enough right there for a whole episode in and of itself. They found traces consistent with the making of plaster, with the manufacture. So they didn't even find the actual plaster. They found something that dropped from his what's it called? His hand wraps. But they never said that it was actually what's it called? He had plaster. So I don't understand what they're talking about right there, or this guy's talking about rather. Also, he says Cotto was never the same after that. First of all, yeah, you're right. He was never the same after that. He actually got better. If you look at the Margarito fight, the second one, he was moving much better. He was clinching a little bit to buy time against Margarito's nonstop pressure. So absolutely, he wasn't the same. He actually got better. He says then he gets TKO'd by Manny 1 year later in 2009. He goes on to beat Yuri Foreman, an average fighter. Okay, he was an average fighter, but Cotto showed you that he wasn't average and he wasn't shot. And then he says, Mayorga had already lost to 7 times and wins a rematch with Margarito. Yeah, that's the thing. Again, same thing with Mayorga. He beat Mayorga. He didn't struggle with Mayorga. He didn't get beat up before it stops. He beat Mayorga. So if Cotto would have been shot after the Margarito loss, he wouldn't have been able to beat a guy like Mayorga, or as convincingly as he did. He won the Margarito rematch, who had already been stopped by Mosley and Manny. First of all, he wasn't stopped by Pacquiao. So again, this comment in and of itself, right here in one paragraph, a lot of mistakes to fit an agenda. Cotto loses to Trout, which is true. He did lose not convincingly, but clearly, but it was a competitive fight. Changes trainers, beats Rodriguez, average fighter, true. And Martinez with a damaged leg, also true. Smoke and mirrors. And then he loses to Canelo. Again, how did he lose to Canelo? See, this is what I'm saying. When people look at BoxRec and they go, oh, here's a loss. Oh, here's a loss. Here's a loss. And then he goes into the context, but he butchers it all up when he's delving into his so-called context. He lost to Canelo. How did he lose to Canelo? Did he get completely outmatched in there? He landed a couple of shots. He was competitive, and he lost to the better guy that day. And a slight, bit of, the size might have played a bit of a factor in there, but not to the extent that Canelo detractors tried to claim. So he says, my point wasn't who was older. My point was Floyd did not fight a prime Manny who dominated the likes of Hatton, Cotto, Mosley. But you could also say Manny didn't fight a prime Floyd. So I'm just trying to point out here how you can pick apart anybody's resume and call them overrated. And I mean, if you can do it to Pacquiao and Mayweather, then you can do it to anybody. And that's partly the big problem that I have when it comes to talking boxing with people who A, either have an agenda, or B, haven't been watching boxing that long. They always come out with an agenda. And for what? You don't like a guy. Okay, move on. You can dislike a guy, just like I used to do with Floyd when he was fighting, but still consider and accept the fact that and give him his props. He's one of the best fighters. And give him his props for his strong points. But now these people, because they jumped the bandwagon. Errol Spence, he's the fighter now to watch. He's the guy that you got to root for. And Mayweather, of course, let's not forget, in the black community, they don't like him too much. A lot of the Wilder fans, the black boxing fans, they don't care. But it's the Wilder fans. They didn't like that Mayweather said he thought Fury won the first fight. So for them, Floyd Mayweather he's a bit of a passé guy. Been there, done that. Let's move on from Mayweather. Errol Spence is the guy to root for now. Let's go to the phone call, the phone lines real quick. We got a phone call here. Hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to be switching over the view. All right. Let's go to 954. 954, you're on the air. 954.
Hey, how you guys doing? I'm glad you take my call again. You guys keep accepting me pretty regularly, and I appreciate that. I love talking boxing. So came in late, but saw you guys were on live, called right in. The main topic of this is Spence versus Manny. I mean, not Spence versus Floyd. I mean, and that he would have beaten a prime Floyd. But I think the first thing to realize is the fact that the prime Floyd, the prime peak, best there could possibly be, looked completely unbeatable at the weight class, at times in the weight class, was at 140 pounds. Given Gotti may have been a shot fighter, but he did what you're supposed to do as a shot fighter, just like what Manny did to shot De La Hoya. He blew him out of the ring. He didn't go the distance with him. He didn't carry him. He didn't, make it to where he, like Roy Jones against Mike McCallum. And I heard someone mention Mike McCallum earlier. Mike McCallum was not quite a shot fighter by the time they fought Roy, but he was damn close. and Roy carried him all the way to the distance, and I don't think could have really finished him anyway at light heavyweight. What Floyd and Manny did to De La Hoya and Gotti, respectively, to those two guys that were shot fighters, they did what a fighter is supposed to do. They made a statement. They put an exclamation point. They underlined it 3 times. They turned it in, and the subject was over. That was the best Floyd Mayweather there was. And then his fight with DeMarcus Corley, even though he got wobbled, they showed highlights of it when he was talking to Larry Merchant one time. He leaped in with a right hook and a double left hook. Leaped in with a right hook, followed by a right uppercut and a double left hook combination. I mean, Roy Jones and Muhammad Ali are the only 3 people I've seen that throw combinations like that. That was the best Floyd Mayweather. Now, Spence, when he was an amateur, fought at 69 kilograms, which is 152 pounds. So you're talking about a natural junior middleweight at the best of his game right now, fighting a guy who was a featherweight in the amateurs that peaked at 140. So if you're actually, since you're comparing different eras, it doesn't add up to begin with. The weights are never. It was not a prime Mayweather that was at 140 pounds. He was still probably close, just on the. And when I say downside the peak, I'm talking like a fly speck on the opposite side of his peak. He was still at the top of his powers. But his peak, his best, was at 140 pounds. And, so when you're comparing apples to oranges by saying prime versus prime, that needs to be taken into consideration because sometimes, to an extent, size does matter. Something else some people hit on, one of the gentlemen talks about the same era that I watched on Mike McCallum and some of those great fighters, especially 154 pounds of Terry Norris and Julian Jackson, guys like that. I'm one of those personal people that think that as good as Floyd Mayweather was, he doesn't compete with any real, natural, all-time great 154-pounder. If you look at who he fought at 154 pounds, it was a shot De La Hoya. It was not a peak, even if he wasn't a shot Miguel Cotto. He was not a peak Miguel Cotto. And it was a very green Saul Alvarez, regardless of what his record was. Those guys don't compare to a prime Mike McCallum, Terry Norris, Julian Jackson, Winky Wright. I mean, these guys were much bigger, solid, natural guys at those weight classes. And I think people don't consider this when, like you're saying, some people already have an agenda. When you mention Floyd Mayweather, Azuma Nelson, who is Chavez, Alexis Arguello, and you can throw Floyd Mayweather in a conversation with those guys and put them head-to-head, theoretically, in this fictitious debate on a 10 out of 10 fight, and you can believe that Mayweather's going to win at least 3 to 5 out of 10 of those fights against all those great guys. Maybe even sweep them in a 10 fight, because that was his weight class. That was his claim to fame of I am the best fighter in the world, was 130. Everything after that was icing on his career. That's kind of my take on that.
Well, it's a very good take, first of all. But I want to just get back to the whole thing about the weight, because my thing is this. When he was at 147, his first fight at 147 was against Sharmba Mitchell, I believe. You don't think he grew that Mayweather? Mitchell. Yeah, you don't think he grew into the welterweight division quite nicely?
Oh, no. I'm not saying that he didn't. But that was, and it was roughly the same time frame. But he started fighting only once or twice a year by that time. And his career slowed down as far as activity was concerned. So we really didn't get to see his displays on how well he could have acclimated against all the top opposition at 147 pounds. The best I saw him, in my opinion, outside of 130, which I've already cemented the fact that if anyone ranks him as the number 130-pound fighter of all times, you will not get an argument from me. I will participate in the debate of mentioning other fighters, but I'm not going to tell anybody that they're wrong. But I think that the peak was of his abilities was at 140 pounds. He did take on Sharmba Mitchell. I believe his next fight after that was Zab Judah, was it not? Right after Judah lost to Baldomir, that whole debacle?
Yeah.
And then it was Baldomir. Those were his last 3 fights before he became Money Mayweather, bought his contract out and fought what I still consider a shot De La Hoya. I don't think, if you look at the De La Hoya that was fighting like 3 years earlier, the De La Hoya that fought Floyd Mayweather flat on his feet, couldn't get on his toes, couldn't rattle off combinations. And Floyd did what Floyd does. I'm play it safe. I'm going to counter you when I want to. I'm going to strike when I want to. And I'm going to carry you the distance so that I make sure I win the fight and I don't lose.
Yeah,
like
that
you said, you don't necessarily like the style, but it was an effective style.
the Mayweather thing here is I will agree. He never fought a guy that was present because he fought pressure fighters, but like you said, it was lower weights, and even Hatton at welterweight, Hatton wasn't. He proved against Luis Collazo that his style didn't mesh well at 147. But I still give Mayweather.
Please say that again. Please say that 2 more times, because I've been saying that for years, and people say that's just excuses and blah 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 blah. He proved in the Luis Collazo fight, your exact words, what I've been quoting for years now, he was not effective at 147 pounds.
Do you get into fist fights because of that?
10 more times, and I will record it and play it everywhere.
Do you get into fist fights over that, or?
Look, I don't get in fist fights. I do a lot of online debates with people that obviously don't know the sport as well as they think they do.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, here's my thing, though.
Mostly people, when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, it's mostly people that probably didn't know who he was prior to the Oscar De La Hoya fight and have caught up on his fights on YouTube. I mean, I didn't personally know him, but I did watch him fight live as an amateur on more than one occasion. So I've been watching the sport more than just a minute now.
Yeah, no, I can tell that from your knowledge of the sport. But it's interesting though, because if he would have fought Margarito, it would have given us a very clear picture of how he could have handled a prime big. Well, because even Margarito, he competed pretty well at 154, but he never fought Margarito. Pacquiao, on the other hand, because that's also partly the discussion that we were getting into, the whole who had a better resume overall, Pacquiao or Mayweather. One thing that I always give Pacquiao, because people say, well, Mayweather beat Pacquiao. Yeah, but Pacquiao did something also, if you want to get into that he beat Margarito. Mayweather never did that.
Well, first, all right, I'm going to bring in a modern fighter for a second of Vasily Lomachenko, because he was great 130 and he's 3-time world champion, and there's people out there, basically Mayweather fans, are saying don't put him in the same subject as Floyd Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? He's a great fighter. Now, you can't compare their careers per se because they've taken different approaches, but they're both equally great fighters in their own right. Mayweather is an equally great fighter to Manny Pacquiao, regardless of what happened between them and the entire decade-long, I'm exaggerating, but decade-long process it took for them to get in the ring together. But the accomplishments that Manny's made, nobody else has done, and Floyd hasn't even come close to doing. Now, Manny lost along the way. Sometimes there's some losses he shouldn't have had when he was down at flyweight, and some of the losses he shouldn't have had because they were not the best decisions, like against Tim Bradley. Floyd never lost. Floyd's made more money than Pacquiao, okay? But Floyd's made more money than Willie Pep, too. But any real historian is not going to put Floyd above Willie Pep just because of how much money he made.
Mm-hmm.
So, based off of a resume, who beat who, when they beat him, and everything else, Barrera was 29 years old and the best featherweight in the world, and had just been only a year and a half to 2 years away from beating Nassim Hamed. He beat down, and Manny moved up in weight and destroyed Barrera. He did struggle with Morales in the first fight, but if I remember correct, the scores were 115-113, which means he may have won unanimous decision, but it wasn't a landslide. It was a war, and Morales came on top. But look what he paid for the price of the war. The next 2 battles in that war happened to be one-sided wins by Manny. Marquez, nobody. I don't think anybody could fight Marquez that many times and have that much back and forth seesaw controversy and still come out on top the way Manny did. Now, some people can say they were gift decisions or not. I don't care. That's their opinion. I respect it. But that much competitiveness. How many people even fought competitive with Juan Manuel Marquez to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
Not counting Floyd. Not counting Floyd. I'm talking people mano and mano, weight class versus weight class. Could actually hold their own against Juan Manuel Marquez. Barrera held his own, but was on the losing end, clearly losing end. Marquez and Morales, for some reason, never fought, and everybody else, the plethora of names that Marquez fought, he won most of them relatively easily.
Mm-hmm.
But against Manny, whether he should have lost or whether he should have won or not, it was tooth and nail all the way down to the end for him to get the win minus the knockout. But then you add in the fact that Leo Ladwaba was the best fighter in the world at 122, and Manny was a late round replacement and blew him out of the ring. And
you know what?
19 years old, he took out. I can't remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, yeah. That I know the guy you were going to bring up. I forget his name. It's one of those weird Thai names.
WBC champion at flyweight.
Yeah, Now, but this whole Mayweather-Pacquiao resume talk, it can go all night because if you say Mayweather beat Pacquiao, then you could say, well, Pacquiao beat Margarito. Then if you say, well, Mayweather had an easier time with Marquez, you can say, well, yeah, but look at what Pacquiao has done since Mayweather retired. He beat a younger Thurman and all that. So it could go all night. Now, here's my, going back to the Errol.
In addition to that, on Mandy's side, you could easily say, okay, so he had an easier time with Marquez, but Pacquiao had an easier time with De La Hoya and Cotto and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
But,
it never ends. What?
A and B, A can beat B, B can beat C, but A doesn't beat C. That's the way boxing works.
Exactly. There's no such thing as boxing math.
Yeah, exactly. There's no formula for that.
Now, going back to the Errol Spence versus Mayweather fight, it's true. Like the guy that was saying that on boxing scene, he was saying, well, Mayweather never beat a guy like Spence before. It's true. But if we take a look at the Styles matchup itself, Kell Brook was doing very well against Errol Spence. And there's always that lingering question about, well, what if Kell Brook had never gone to 160 and taken on Golovkin? Could he have been fresher for Errol Spence? Because let's face it, Mayweather wasn't a little welterweight. He grew into the division pretty well. And he also could crack at that weight. So, I mean, I'm going to ask you what... Oh, hold on a second. Butcher, you got if you can lower the volume for that a little bit. It's a little bit too loud. But so my thing is, what's your take on prime Errol Spence? And if we get down to it, Errol Spence, Mayweather.
So it's going to depend on which version of which fighter shows up, as it does with every other fight.
Well,
if
the
it's
best
Mayweather that showed up against, but Mayweather wasn't exactly with every other fight in a Showtime contract. The only fight he didn't really show up for was the Maidana fight, the first one. And if it's that Mayweather, then I give a very solid chance for Errol Spence to the fact that not only can he walk a guy down like Maidana pretty much almost did to Mayweather most of those rounds, but he's left-handed and he's a much naturally bigger guy. But if Floyd shows up ready for this fight, then he may Spence may walk into some traps. And if he walks into these traps, does he have the corner? See, one of the biggest things for Mayweather is there's very few fighters that are as great as Mayweather that also have a corner as smart as his corner. With whether Roger or Floyd Sr. or whether one of the two of those is the lead trainer, and one of them sitting ringside shouting instructions, during the fight where he can still hear him. That's a hard IQ to overcome. Very few people. You got Emmanuel Stewart, you got Papa Smurf, what's his name, Eddie Futch, and very few trainers outside of that are going to be able to compete with that kind of IQ they got there. And so if Spence gets back to that corner, I don't know much about Spence's trainer. I don't really remember his name, and I haven't heard his list of people he's fought, nor were they necessarily people that were qualified contenders and former world champions in the ring and fought the quality competition that both of them fought. Because I don't hang a lot on Floyd Mayweather Sr.'s career because people say he gave Ray Leonard a tough fight. The reality of that situation was Floyd Sr. gave Ray Leonard 2 or 3 tough rounds and then got his butt whooped for the remainder of the fight. But he carried that knowledge with him to give another great fighter in Marlon Sterling fits. So he had a lot of experience. And then, of course, we know what Roger was made of. And they poured all of that into Floyd. So Floyd's got all that ability in the ring. And then if Spence is doing something he's not ready for, he goes back to the corner, and they're telling him what he's doing wrong and how to fix it. Spence, man, I don't think Spence has that.
Here's the thing, man. You're absolutely right about that. We've never really seen him have to make... I've never seen him make any great technical changes to win. I mean, if you look at against Kell Brook, the reason why he won the Kell Brook fight, and I'm not taking credit away from him from that. He won that fight, but what I'm saying is, hypothetically, against a guy like Floyd, he would have to make, like you said, some big adjustments. And against Kell Brook, he didn't really adjust much. All he did was really just, hey, listen, I'm going to keep walking him down, keep working the body, my youth and strength against his, and that's pretty much. Now, I'm not saying he didn't make any adjustments, because he did make adjustments, probably, judging the distance a little bit better here and there. But for the most part, it was really just putting the pressure on and intensifying that pressure as the fight went on. Same thing to a certain extent against Sean Porter, but even that fight, it was the difference was even less marked because it was very, very close. That was a very close fight. And he got hit a lot. And Mayweather is just the sharpest shooter you can find out in the West, and he sets those traps like it's nobody's business. So, I don't. Some of these people on boxing scene that are saying that Errol Spence beats him, it's possible, but he's unproven at this point in his career.
The Spence on the way up that everybody was putting on their pound for pound list before he even won a world title, which I thought was a little premature. Looked as if he would have been able to do what some of these Fairweather fans and modern millennials think of their current champion. And I'm not trying to discredit them. I mean, you love your era, and you always should. I'm a little bit older, so my era is more along the guys that I was the same age as and the guys I grew up watching. And Spence is right now, even though I'm a huge Terrence Crawford fan, is pretty much proven himself to be the top of the welterweight division. And if he wins the whole thing, that's great. But do I think that makes him better than the legends before him of previous years? No, I do not. Do I think, based off of his two toughest fights against the top of the cream of the crop at welterweight that he's faced, he struggled on both of them. But they were also both pressure fighters as well as him being a pressure fighter. So has he faced anyone that's going to be able to throw him the curveballs, pot shot, and confuse, and even frustrate him the way Floyd would? He hadn't fought anything like that. Does he have the ability to walk down Floyd when Floyd's not always going to be there? Well, we'll never know because that fight will never happen. My guess is the fact that in a head-to-head fight between the two of them, it depends on a lot of variables, as all boxing matches do. But if he can't walk Floyd down, then more likely, he, in my opinion, he's going to lose. However, Floyd is not as strong as Kell Brook or as strong as Sean Porter. And Porter, being a guy who struggled twice against a shot Julio Diaz, gave Spence everything he can handle.
Yeah, it's true, man.
A shot Julio Diaz that had a shaky chin at lightweight, and it took 24 rounds for Porter to beat that guy, yet he almost beat Errol Spence. As everybody knows, you can't answer everything by just flipping a coin and doing a scientific an algorithm of math and come up with a winner in this thing. My guess, though, is Floyd fought better competition. Floyd's smarter. Floyd will, as I hate to say this, I think Floyd will find a way to beat Errol Spence. But that's my take.
Well, there you go. Listen, you broke it down perfectly. Like you said, it's not it's all hypothetical, but you broke it down about as well as anybody could break it down. And it's not just, Mayweather was better. That's it. No, it was a good discussion. Now, final question before I let you go. Who wins between Errol Spence and Mayweather in a drag race?
I think Mayweather's definitely got the foot of speed on that one.
All right, there you go. All right, man.
Well, I'll say this: if
the finish line
if Errol Spence doesn't kill himself, he wins.
Hold on.
Anyway, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you next time.
All right, take it easy, man. Thank you for the call. All right, very good call, man.
Who's the next train wreck?
Who's the next? Hey, by the way, before we continue, Butcher, we got Jimmy and we got Recognized back. Guys, are you there?
What's going on, man?
Hey,
what's up, Jimmy?
What's happening? Hey, can I say something about this question? I mean, hypothetical between Floyd and Spence. The reason why I can understand now. Floyd, Spence is the one who started this, right? He tweeted some shit or said some stuff. I don't know if he's trying to goat Floyd, because the rumor is Floyd's hurting for money. So I just want to add that the hurting for money, projecting hurting, meaning it's gonna cost him. So what I heard was a cool $2 million minimum to defend his daughter. Right? That's at the bare minimum, $2 million. Okay, so that's liquid too. You can't fucking float that, with the lawyers. That's upfront cash. So he's got overhead galore. He's gonna have to do something. Okay, I don't know if this is Spence trying to, get his way, position himself in the fucking money fight. I don't think Floyd would take that risk. Obviously, that would be. This is my opinion. But now, take it back to its conclusion, though. It's kind of fucked up that, because of Floyd's career was long, right? And us as humans, we have short-term memory. We only remember that the fucking TMT, the shoulder roll, slickness, and just, Floyd's not not a welterweight at all. At all. His best, by far, I don't think there's even up for discussion, was 130. The night he fucking worked Corrales, I understand Corrales was weight trained, all the other detractors. That fucking Floyd was unbelievable. that Floyd at 147, since it's makeup, would absolutely eat Spence alive if you took that and sourced it into a 147 pounder. But if Spence is going to do hypotheticals who he could beat up at welterweight, why isn't he calling out Duran? I mean, not even Duran. He was even, but Sugar Ray Leonard. Why doesn't he say he could beat Sugar Ray Leonard? I mean, if it's just hypotheticals or even Sugar Ray Robinson. My point is this: at 130, which was Floyd's ideal weight, if you rewatch that fight, and of course I take all the fucking shit he's pulled since, and the beating the women and all that other crap, and then unfortunately because of the tribalistic thing, because we end up with so much visceral hatred for the LDBC and what they stand for, and because they idolize him, I just have to take a deep breath and say, okay, dude, don't take it out on the fighter, because I think sometimes that's what we do. We end up disliking the fan base so much, we go after I know I do. So I took, I'm like, and I rewatched that fight again, and I remember watching that live, and man, he was that night. I don't think anybody beat him at 130. If you really watched that fight, he took apart a bigger man. Diego Corrales was good too. You know what I mean? He was a tough kid, and Floyd was just so sharp with the one shots to the belly. He kept him off balance all night. Every time he would pick him off with the fucking right hand lead, and he would go to the belly with the fucking you know what I mean, with the jab. It was no shoulder rolls. It was all footwork, and it was a lesson, an absolute lesson. Nothing Spence has done anything like that. Spence came out a fucking Mickey Garcia, who was just, he threw more punches at the ceiling than he did at Spence, and he fucking, you know what I mean? And then you fucking, come on, that was a joke. That kid didn't belong there, and Spence tried by his own admission to put him away. Think about that.
Yeah.
Where fucking Floyd put away, Corrales was a tough kid. I mean, he was catching him with shots. I think it was, and he had a lot of turmoil in his life then. He was going at it hard with his father. It was all public. It was crazy. He was under a lot of shit. That's why he broke down and cried in his father's arms. I always remember that. I thought that was a touching thing. His father's rubbing and said, "It's all right, baby. It's all right." Because you don't hear what he was saying. But they were going at each other hard. And again, with his fathers, Floyd and both Roger, remember, at their peak, what would have been their professional peak, by then, they were all deep into cocaine. Hard. They were using coke while training. They all were. You know what I mean? And that beats your body up hard. You're not the same. You might feel the same. You might feel like, fuck this, I can fight all night. But your body isn't reacting. You know what I mean? Trust me, I remember me fucking zipped out on cocaine, man. You play like King Kong. Fuck that. But you know what I mean? But so that has a lot to do with them too. Then you got guys like, De La Hoya, who didn't fuck around with the cocaine, I guess, until after the career was over, or towards the end. But anyways, that's my thing on that. Floyd, I just can't even believe that. And yes, I mean, you're talking about a 42-year-old fucking dude who was, come to find out he didn't even train for fucking, what's his name there, McGregor. Do you blame him? People around him said he put in maybe a week, started maybe doing a little hard road work. It was a joke.
Jeez.
But yeah, again, not to repeat myself, but 130, Floyd, if you could take that and put that into a welterweight, absolute annihilation against Spence.
If you could take that fucking Floyd and put him at 147, he probably can beat even Sugar Ray Leonard. I'll say that.
It was a lesson, dude. All hats off to him. That was the pinnacle. That he was never as good. He was never as good before, never as good after. I mean, because I don't think I rewatched that now, and I watched it a few times, and I'm like, that's about as. I mean, listen, Diego Corrales, a lot of people thought, going in, include myself, I'm like, ooh, Floyd's finally taking on the fucking heavy hit. Everybody knew everything going in, that, the weight issues and whatnot. But that kid could hit, and he was tough as fucking nails. And he was another kid that it didn't matter if he was getting paid, he was fighting. That's why he was always in trouble with the law.
I think I was picking Diego to win that fight.
A lot of people were. I think Vegas had it almost 50-50, right?
Something like that.
He was a slight favorite, I think, or most people. Yeah.
What Floyd was?
No. Morales.
Yeah, I guess. Oh yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't remember. I knew it wasn't much. I was never a gambler, but I would always hear the odds or whatever. And so think about that. That was going in as a 50-50, and it was a one-sided lesson.
Yeah.
It was a beatdown.
It was crazy. Oh man, it was such a fucking. He was so on it, man. He was so laser focused. Everything he did, like, and then he was listening to. I mean, his uncle was a good trainer too. But they talked about he implemented everything he said. Okay, now go to the body, stick to the body. He kept him off balance. He said it. He just said, like, man, it was. Every time I thought I got him, every time I thought I was timing this, okay, he's gonna come with the right, boom, it hit my belly, and he hit, especially then, 130 was hitting hard enough to, cause damage. So, but yeah, when I read that on Twitter, I'm like, this fucking kid, go buy yourself a drink, kid. Shut up.
No, go buy yourself. Oh, maybe go buy yourself a line is what you're trying to say. But look, here's.
Man.
I don't know who, because I didn't listen to the podcast. Apparently, it was on a podcast where he said that the article doesn't say who brought it up. It just says that they started talking about Mayweather. So, but my thing is this: if anybody wants to criticize Spence for saying he would beat him, obviously, I don't think he would beat Mayweather. I mean, he hasn't shown me anything that shows that he could convincingly beat him. Maybe if Mayweather shows up there bad night, maybe he didn't train properly, he's got a bad shoulder or something, maybe. But I do not get angry over current fighters, stating that they could beat people from the past, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I read that quote from Larry Holmes when they asked him about the Rocky Marciano comments he made, which still haunt him to this day.
Couldn't hold my jockstrap.
Couldn't hold my jockstrap. And he said, well, look, but hold on. Yeah, but he said it this way. He said, they were asking me about it. I said, I could have, if they would have asked me about Ali, I would have said Ali too. If they would have asked me Joe Louis, he says, at that moment, I felt like I was unbeatable. And he says, I'm the champ. If I don't feel that way, I might as well retire. He said, like he said this later on like when he was in his 60s. But it's true. If you're a current fighter and somebody asks you, hey, do you think you could beat this guy? Maybe there's two ways. One, you could be humble and say, I don't know, and don't answer it. Or be honest and say, listen, I'm a fighter right now. I feel like it could beat anybody. Put him in front of me and I'll beat him. Because that's the mentality these guys have. Oh, well, he was angry because of the fucking Spinks decision. Come on.
But in a third option, though, right, too, you could pay homage to the sport that's making you, usually at that point, if reporters are asking you a question to the point it's made you wealthy, you could turn and say, man, to tell you what, I don't answer, I would just say, so honestly, I don't answer about fighters from the past that have no ability to fight, because I don't want someone doing that to me when I'm retired. Ask me about anybody still fighting. I don't, you know what I mean? That's how I would answer it. I would just say, I'm not going to.
I think that's that you see what you just said there, Jimmy. That's like, to me, the perfect way. Like, I'd be like, look, I don't know about those guys in the past. They were great fighters. I know I'll whip everybody in my generation.
Exactly.
That's nothing wrong with that. You could say that.
Right? You're still telling everybody you're the best, and at the same time, you're not disrespecting other guys.
You could even say, like, look, man, I feel confident I would have beaten anybody, and just leave it like that.
What about Deontay Wilder saying he would knock out Mike Tyson?
Oh,
well, I mean, that's just him, talking.
That was
shit.
fueled to Tyson Fury's. That was part of actually a very big thing in Tyson Fury to him that motivated him to want to knock out Wilder. He said it just got him at the right time of his life. And when he read that comment, he said he was fuming for days over it. Because he said to him, that's so, like, you calling on a man who's almost 60 now, dude? What are you fucking nuts? Saying that? It's like the guy's still alive, too, so he's going to see it. So it's just disrespectful. And I agreed, and that was part of the reason why I picked Fury to knock him out, because I see it in his face. He was like, man, that was a punk move. So, yeah, no, everything Wilder says is...
Even Floyd Mayweather, when he said, look, I'm the best ever, they say, oh, what about guys like Roy Jones?
Ali. Yeah.
But he would actually say, like, even though he would be disrespectful a little bit, but, like, I remember a comment about Roy Jones, and he said, look, Roy had his time. He did what he did. He didn't mention nothing about him getting knocked out. He just said, and now I have my time.
Mm-hmm. That's
interesting. Yeah, but remember when Floyd talked about Ali, he said, I think Ali was a great boxer, but the reason why he's so popular is because a lot of the things that he did outside the ring.
Yeah, I mean, to Floyd's credit, and God bless his heart for this, he ranks Roberto Duran ahead of Muhammad Ali, and God bless him for it. And I just wanted to say one thing, real quickly. Listen, man, I'm Bay Area. I'm so sorry. I've been timing you out, bro. You're just a disrespectful little boy, and I just wanted to take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody
Oh boy, yeah, Johnny's been watching too much. Johnny's been watching too much MMA, man. But hey, listen, I wanted to say something about Mayweather because Mayweather did get in. I think he learned his lesson.
Nobody.
Yeah, I think Mayweather learned his lesson from because he actually said one time that he would whoop Sugar Ray Leonard, and apparently to this day, Sugar Ray Leonard, time he sees him, or maybe not to this day, but for a while there, he was pretty salty towards Mayweather for having said that. So I guess the bottom line is, if they ask you about that, I think Jimmy's answer is perfect. It's like, listen, try to be neutral with it. Now, here's another thing, though. Errol Spence, he made that comment about that, right? He said, I would beat Mayweather. We still haven't heard Mayweather come back with something. He probably will come back with a statement. Now, this is in line with Spence's character, because remember, after the accident in which he was allegedly, it's going to come out in court, he was drunk probably. And that's why he got into that accident, which could have killed or maimed somebody. And after, when he got out of the hospital and miraculously was pretty in good health, he tweet something to the words of, or akin to, "I'm a beast"? Can anybody confirm or deny that?
I don't remember.
He did.
Well, I know that. Like, he's basically, because he survived. He's like, I'm a beast.
Right, but don't you think that's? Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, the one time I heard him speak publicly on it was when the guy from Showtime or CBS, was it? Or no, I mean Fox was trying to get him to. I think was trying to lead him a softball question to say, "Yeah, I didn't use my head that night." Obviously, but he said, "Oh, is this guy?" He tweeted out after, "Is this guy working for the DA?" No, he never showed any humility, no apology whatsoever. He acted like it was God, it was divine help of God.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I mean? Jimmy, let me ask you a question, right? Because I know you know a lot about these boxers. Wasn't like Errol Spence Jr. raised by like a military dad? I think they lived. I think Errol Spence,
middle class in that area. Yeah, he had like a family middle class home. Yeah,
and the way I understand,
not ghetto
like
at all.
His father, I think he was born. He was like born in the Northeast, and they took him down south, like to have like I guess like a better life or whatever. Wasn't that his thing?
Yeah, all I was told, I didn't get, the kid didn't go into detail. He just says, because I was like, where's this kid come from? What's his, that has a lot to do how people act. Obviously, it was his crowd, and he searches out the gangster life. He wasn't born into it at all. It wasn't like he's from the hood.
Who are you talking, Jimmy?
Errol Spence.
Oh, please, bro. That boy ain't from no kind of ghetto nowhere.
Yeah,
but
he's the suburb. Yeah, he's from the suburbs.
He ain't from no kind of ghetto anywhere. But no, I was just gonna ask Mr. BDA. What's the topic of discussion? I heard you guys talk about the Prince. The biggest hype job in the history of the sport, Muhammad.
We're getting into because Errol Spence said in a podcast a couple of days ago that he would have beaten Prime versus Prime.
He's a
Mayweather. Yeah.
I saw that myself. I was just going to say that's fucking laughable. Floyd would have given that kid a boxing lesson. Not now, obviously, but please. Like the Floyd that fought Oscar and Judah and Arturo, even though it fucking pained me to see that. That dude's fucking destroying Errol Spence, bro. That dude's destroying Errol Spence.
Well, now picture him at 130, Johnny. Picture that prime Floyd. To me, 130 against Corrales was the best Floyd ever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But he was 130, not 147. That's 17 pounds lighter. So it's like, all right, Spence, you're fucking squeezing into welterweight, and you're calling out fucking junior lightweights.
Yeah,
if you talk about prime to prime, his prime was 130.
I mean, as much as I hate him, bro, y'all know I can't stand Floyd, but like, as much as I hate him, man, that motherfucker who was beating the hell out of Angel Man Freddy and all them boys back, that dude was a beast, son.
Yeah, well, that's what separates us from the LDBC. See what happens? They have such hatred for the race of that fighter and their fans that they can't even. It's almost like that Democrat from Michigan, that black lady. And I'm not going into politics. I'm just showing how this matches in a weird way.
Please.
All she did was just thank President Trump. Hey, thanks for mentioning that stuff. My doctor gave it to me. It saved my life. That's all. Because of that, they sanctioning her. They're sanctioning her, and they're trying to get her kicked out of the Democrat. They want to replace her. So it's become to that point where, like, it's that way with the LDBC and that side. Like, they can't even, a lot of them can't even compliment them. Whereas I don't like Floyd. I don't like what he turned into. I don't like what he stands for. I don't like a lot of things. but I'm not going to take away from his fucking
You
talent.
know what kills me, Jimmy? You know what kills me? Mr. BDA, give me 1 second. You know what cracks me up, Jimmy, is fucking, like, dude, it doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to tell you Floyd's a scumbag, bro. But apparently I'm the fucking Grand Cyclops of the KKK because I don't like Floyd. Like, come on, man. It's ridiculous. I don't care if I don't give a fuck if the dude was a guinea like me, bro. I'd still say he's a piece of shit.
Well, you know what? There's plenty of opinions on that in regards to that. But what I was trying to get at was that Errol Spence doesn't necessarily seem like the type of person who is very humble. Now, to another point is that people what was interesting to me was in boxing scene, the people that were trying to discredit Mayweather and saying, well, Mayweather never fought a top welterweight, a top A-level welterweight like Errol Spence. I'm thinking, how come all these people are either they never saw Mayweather fight in his prime, or now they're just bandwagoning and saying, well, we're on the Errol Spence
it's both
bandwagon.
misleading, it's both dishonest, and there's some truth to it too, right? Like, okay, look, we were jumped on before when we would like say, look, I don't think Floyd's the greatest fighter because his resume is a little bit misleading, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we got jumped on for that. Now they're saying that. Now they're saying that he never fought guys like Errol Spence. De La Hoya was just, I mean, even that De La Hoya, that version, he gives Errol Spence a whole lot of fucking problems, if not just straight out beat him. Okay, because he was still strong. He was still, his height is what it is. I think he's taller than Errol Spence. And
Recognize.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you, Prime Diego Corrales, does Prime him against the Prime Spence? Who do you got?
Oh man, I'll give Spence the slight edge because all right, even though Diego needed to be at 147, right? But when he did go up to 147, I saw it where I'm not gonna say he was average. He was still above average, but at the elite level, he could be beaten. And I saw that even before he ever went to 147. As he started going up, I think he went in 135. Then he fought Casamayor and Castillo. Castillo knocked him out. So I would have to give it to Errol Spence, right? I would give it to Errol Spence that he would win that fight. But De La Hoya would be my test. Also Miguel Cotto. Are we sure that Errol Spence could beat those guys? I'm not too sure about that. I don't know. I don't know if he could be.
But Prime Cotto? No way.
Right.
No way.
Prime Cotto and Prime
No
De La Hoya.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
That dude just fucking went life and death with Sean Porter.
That's the thing that I'm talking
about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he ain't fucking with him.
And as much as I love Sean Porter, he would have paid for some of the tactics that he uses, like the way he just barges in against guys like De La Hoya and Miguel Cotto. Those guys know how to take advantage of a guy like doing that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I saw the one video they did on fucking that Mayweather channel. Whatever happened to the Black Mamba there, But anyways, they were doing a fantasy fight where they were going around the gym and asking Eddie Mustafa and a lot of them guys over there at the Floyd gym. They were asking a fantasy fight between Tito and Spence, and all these chump ass motherfuckers is like, oh man, I don't know, bro, that's a tough one, and this kind of shit. I'm like, bitch,
it's not a tough one. That's not a tough one.
I say, bitch. I had that channel respond to me, the Mayweather channel, because I was talking all kinds of shit in their chat to them too, bro. They fucking that's why they turned the comment section off on their videos. But I was like, bro, Spence is the wrong style to be fucking with.
Yeah, Trinidad would have been all wrong for him because Trinidad would have snuck.
Dude, recognize he's gonna come forward, bro, and Trinidad is gonna tee off, son.
And then he's gonna do it from the. Here's the sad thing too, because he would have did this, and I'm sure he would have. Spence would have came in that southpaw stance throwing that jab right into Tito's left hook, he would have broke his fucking like equilibrium and the thing about Trinidad was once he had you hurt, he kept on. He kept you in that daze stage. And
has anybody seen Spence fight off his back foot yet? Can he even fight off his back foot?
He could fight somewhat.
I guess Mikey Garcia. I guess
Jimmy,
yeah,
that was my point.
Well, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
But
BDA.
by the way, before we continue, sorry, because we got a phone call here, and don't forget, we got a second Renaissance coming up right after this. We're going to transition to a second Renaissance. So before we continue, let's go to the phone call real quick. Let's go to 470. 470, you're on the air. 470.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Spence versus, the issue with Spence, I really liked the guy when he was coming up. He just looked like a dedicated fighter. He wanted to be champ. He was fighting, whoever. I don't blame him for, a lot of people detract from his win over Kell Brook because Kell Brook suffered that injury with Golovkin. But that was Kell Brook and Eddie Hearn who were delaying that fight. So, I give Spence credit for going over to the UK and beating Brook. And then a lot of the guys in the LDBC were Keith Thurman was ducking Spence, and he had problems getting fights with Thurman, and eventually the fight with Porter happened. So I don't really have an issue with his comment if he thinks he can beat Mayweather. The problem is there's guys right now, one guy in particular right now, who the talk should be focused on, and that's Terrence Crawford. So, there's a guy right now in his weight class, the weight class which he started in. Remember, Mayweather started at super featherweight. So that's a mismatch. It's not a fair fight in terms of size, but Mayweather may be able to equal it out because of his skill. But there's a guy right now in Errol Spence's weight class who called him out to his face right now. And Errol Spence said, "Why would I not take the easy route?" So, he's playing the LDBC PBC merry-go-round, with Keith Thurman ducking and Sean, the fight with Mikey Garcia. But there's a guy in his weight class right now who wants it with him. Right now.
Thank you.
That's a good fucking point.
I think he should be focused on because he hasn't even proven he's the champ in his own division right now.
That's a very good point, man.
All this talk about Mayweather, I don't even understand how or why. I know why it came up, for controversy.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to, it's clout chasing, but there's a guy who's dominant, ranked higher than him on the pound for pound list in his division, same age, that for some reason he doesn't want to fight.
Straight begging him to fight too.
Yeah.
Say what?
You see, that's a fight that could catapult him to that number one status, that make-believe top 5 that they put him in. Like I see these top 5 lists, and they got Errol Spence. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about, but anyway. But at least hear me out, BDA. Imagine goes in there, beats Terrence Crawford. Forget about what we think. We know the mainstream media is going to be like, yo, he's pound for pound the best fighter. He beat Terrence Crawford. He beat, and that kind of helps him market himself as the best pound for pound fighter. And why? Because he beat the supposed best pound for pound fighter in Terrence Crawford. And don't get me wrong, Terrence Crawford deserves consideration in being named a top 5 pound for pound fighter, but I don't think he's number 1, right? But I'm not going to really argue it, but mainstream media, when it comes to boxing, they believe he's number 1, okay, or that he's number 2 or number 5, or he's no lower than 5. Now, if Errol Spence goes in there and beats a guy in his own weight class that is being regarded this way, then he's automatically in this mainstream boxing pound for pound
stratosphere
list. And it's
yeah,
just right, and it also helps him with his career. Okay, whoever wins that fight is going to help. It's going to help them. Period. But he doesn't seem, and I don't say he's ducking, he's scared, because listen, this guy's been doing it all his life. He ain't scared of nobody. All right, that what they're scared of is losing their position, burning their circles. Saying, look, fuck that out him and get me that fight. You know what I'm saying? And then God forbid he loses. Right? He loses that Al Heyman, you know, is going to look at you like, yeah, you wanted me to get you that fight. All right, bro.
You know what? You know what?
Now.
You know what Al Heyman would do? He would probably try to stick Errol Spence into a room, lock him into a room with one of those trannies that he allegedly likes to go out with. Now, caller, Recognize made a very good point that it's not necessarily the fighters that are scared, but it's mostly the promoter's fault. Now, you mentioned that Spence made a comment about how why wouldn't he take the easier route? Do you have any documentation or any source for that? Because I'd like to see it. Because if he did say that, oof, that's a bad look right there.
If you go online, probably on YouTube, there was a fight that they both attended. I can't remember what fight, but they were all backstage.
I remember that.
Spence,
I just want to say I remember hearing that, reading that too.
And they were all talking shit. They were talking shit back and forth to each other, and I think Crawford asked him a question, and then Errol Spence said, "Why wouldn't I take the easier route and go beat, Porter and Thurman and all those guys first before I get to you?" He said it to his face, and then Terrence Crawford just started laughing at him. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
You know why Crawford laughed at him? Because Spence really believes he's Mayweather. Like, no, you're not. You're just because Mayweather retired, you didn't inherit his spot. You didn't do anything to in other words, he's toting the line, the PBC line that Jimmy talks about a lot. That, let me take this easy route. I'm the king of PBC. And, they probably make him feel that way. But at the end of the day, man, he's replaceable. He's replaceable. And they can make a mistake and go in there with Terrence Crawford, and Crawford just beats him and maybe does it in dominant fashion. He could be replaced. He's just that he thinks he's bigger than what he really is. His resume doesn't prove that. His resume.
And recognize, I just wanted to say too, with Al Heyman too, it's come to light even more often now. He doesn't actually tell these guys they can't fight. So this whole thing, they're actually hiding behind Al Heyman. The problem with the PBC is Al Heyman doesn't make anybody fight anybody. Whereas Bob will call up his fighters because, he knows he can make money. And if they're not calling, but he'll do. So Al's not calling any of his guys saying, hey, listen, no, you should fight. They will come to him. And see, the thing is, amongst the PBC guys, they know if they take a fight that crosses the street, they can do it. If they want to fight anybody anywhere, Al's going to sign off on it. But they're in the doghouse, and they're all afraid of not getting a bone. And right now, Spence is the fucking PBC's guy. Before that, it was Thurman. Before that, it was fucking, when it first started, it was the Mexican kid into the drag cars. Remember, he fought the most in the PBC headlines in the first 3 years.
Oh, Santa Cruz?
No, the welterweight. He was
Guerrero?
Mayweather. Guerrero, exactly. Guerrero, yeah. He was, oh man, God, he was, and then Santa Cruz, he named his daughter after Al.
That was.
But no, so they know they're not to piss him off. But again, so they all say that. Well, I got to check with. That's bullshit. He could fight Crawford anytime he wanted. They don't want to because they don't want to piss off Al. And plus, like he did say, why should I? The money's not going to change. Then you ain't chasing legacy, dude. You're not chasing greatness. You're chasing a pocketbook. And the problem with that, kid, when you retire, you will fade like a fart in the wind. Nobody will be talking about you.
Exactly.
You how many people watch fucking, how many people right now have rewatched Spence Garcia? Probably.
No, I saw it that
It was a horrible fight.
I
and
saw
he
it
couldn't
that one
stop
time.
him.
I saw that one time, Jimmy.
That was enough, right?
I never even sniffed that video once.
Exactly. So,
but you know what?
If he was to leave right now, who's going to talk about Spence?
But you know what?
Now, you know what fight that I did see a couple of times because I enjoyed it? Spence Porter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I enjoyed that fight. I watched it a couple of times. Yes.
But listen, guys, this is to the caller's point. Caller, you made that very excellent point, man, about how these guys, I'd like to call out fighters from another era. Maybe they should start clearing their division first or doing half of what the other guys did before they start saying, oh, I could have beaten him. Just so I got you there. Is this somebody who's called in before? Or?
Yeah, I've called in a couple of times before.
And did we give you a nickname or?
The Gambler.
What do you go by, son?
I like to bet on fights, so I try to be really I just try to see things the way they are. I try to be as unbiased as possible because I like to gamble on fights. So I just try to cut it. Now you guys,
we're gonna call you the Gambler.
Out of gambling. Yeah, you don't want emotions in gambling.
We're gonna call whenever we see your area code and it's you. We're gonna call you the Gambler.
That's right. We got the gambler on the line.
That's what's up.
All right, listen, gambler.
He
Thank you very much, man.
that.
Thank you for your call, and thank you for excellent, two excellent points that you made, man. Fantastic. We gotta move on because we're about to end the show. But thank you. Call back next time, all right, gambler?
All right, take care.
Take it easy, man. I was gonna call him Paul Newman, but then the gambler sounds better. All right, real quick, let's go to 610. 610. You're on the air. 610.
610. That's Jackson.
Yo, it's Jackson.
Oh,
you see?
What's up, boys?
What's up, Jackson?
Killer show last night, yo. That was some fire. Love that show last night. But
Second Renaissance.
That's what we do, Jackson. Jackson, that's what we do. We're entertainers.
But are you talking about the second? Are you talking about the second Renaissance?
Man.
Jackson, sorry. Are you talking about the second Renaissance or about the? Yeah, okay. We're gonna do one. Don't forget, guys. Stay tuned. Don't leave. We're gonna right after this. Give us 5 minutes. We're gonna set up another show. It's gonna be second Renaissance. Anything goes. Everything goes.
We're entertaining tonight. That's what we're doing.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So what's on your mind, Jackson?
That's what's up. Because I missed the show, so yeah, I get the second Renaissance. That's what's up, though. I just want to say, like, I don't rank. I've said this before. I just don't rank Mayweather that high. Everybody's like, oh, well, you go back to his pretty boy days. Like, I watched all his pretty boy days. Like, he wasn't some killer at 130. Like, yeah, he was a stronger puncher when he was smaller, but he wasn't some, like, extremely exciting fighter. He was still very technical throughout his career. He was never a knockout artist. And I mean, if you could shrink Spence down to his weight, like, take the Miguel Cotto or take the Floyd that fought Cotto and put him in there with Spence right now. How do you see that fight going? Because he fought really well against Cotto.
I say Spence gives that Mayweather a good fight, but Mayweather figures it out, bro. He always does with these Spence kind of fighters. You know, they're real strong and they got a lot of power. Just Floyd's IQ. You're right. He was technical and he was kind of boring. That's why he kind of he's one of those all-time greats because he's just does everything.
He won.
Safe enough to win.
What's Spence's strong suit, right? His 1-2, his jab, not his left hook. Really, it's just his jab and his, you know what I mean, cross.
Shots,
so
body shots.
And that's his body shot. But then again, like, because of the shoulder roll and just his defense. Remember, the only times you really ever saw him get rocked was Madonna. When because he was so good at that, you know, he pop, everything down the middle. It was almost impossible to hit him clean. It was always those fucking whack jobs. You do those crazy
those overhand rights.
You know,
those overhand rights. That's because
that's not Spence's thing though. So I that's why I don't think Spence. He's all wrong for you, baby.
Yeah. But by the way, go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead, because we got to go soon. So give us your point of view.
Yeah, I just want to say that's awesome. You're doing a second show. I'll definitely tune in. But I agree with Jimmy. Like, you had to hit Mayweather with those.
Oh, what the fuck? What happened here? Connection?
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
Guys, feel about the FBI.
Too, man.
It sounds like a Mario.
That's what. Didn't that happen to you too last night, Butcher, where you were doing the second Renaissance? That all of a sudden we heard that.
I was talking about something. Next thing you know, I hear like the operator come on because the phone was off the hook.
It's Susan. It's Susan Winosk, YouTube CEO at home in a bathrobe.
She's
just flipping through channels, fucking everybody up because she's bored.
All right, hold on a second. I'm trying to reestablish the connection here. I don't know what happened. It won't reconnect. What the fuck? Yeah, it doesn't want to reconnect, Butch. Sorry, Jackson. I know you were gonna say, and the other caller too, 929. I think that's somebody that's called in before. I forget. I don't have the names here, but
Virtuoso.
Right. It's Virtuoso. Yeah, I had a feeling it was Virtuoso. Sorry, guys. I don't know why I mean, I could try to reestablish connection. I'm trying to, as you can hear here, but it won't.
I hope you realize a pattern. I hope you realize a pattern with.
It's not gonna work, BDA.
It's not gonna work.
The whole thing.
I'd have to restart. Sorry, guys. All right, listen. Well, anyway, we had to end it because it's already 7:30, and we want to give a good show on the second Renaissance. So I think we said a whole lot. We could go. This was a good subject, man, because I could go on with you guys, and I know you guys can keep up as well. Because you know me, it's hard to keep up with me, man. I mean, come on, let's face it. But this Errol Spence Mayweather thing, I mean, geez, it's. I don't know why guys would say that, but hey, look, it is what it is. By the way, did you guys realize I'm trying to pull a Spence there, Errol Spence, by saying that I'm a beast? Did you guys pick up on that?
I know. Okay. I noticed it right away.
Because I'm not a braggadocious type of guy. You know that. I'm a man of the Lord. Those who are exalted shall be humbled.
Man
and
of
the humble
Jesus
shall
Christ.
be exalted. That's right. All right. Now listen, guys. We're going to move on to a second renaissance. Anything goes. And Jimmy, you want to talk about the, what's it called? The bikers.
No,
and
we were talking about, I love motorcycle clubs last time, but you didn't want to get into any of it. You said we'll save that for Renaissance. So
well, that's what we're doing. We're
that's why
switching
I
over to.
brought that up.
Yeah, but we're switching over to. We're switching
Hey,
over
Jimmy.
to. But hold on,
Check out that shootout.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just to clarify, Jimmy, we are switching to second renaissance right now. So
cool.
We're gonna end this,
Cool.
and in 5 minutes we're gonna restart another
And
show.
you just call back.
That's right.
All right.
Actually, no,
Sounds
you
like a plan,
stay
man.
here on the Discord. Bucho, can we use the same Discord or how does that work?
Well, my sound is gonna be all shitty
Oh,
now.
okay,
and I
okay,
gotta
okay.
play in it.
No, you're right. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna disconnect from Discord. Bucho's gonna start another group.
All
We're
right.
gonna call you guys. All right.
I'll send you a
See you
link.
in a few minutes, man.
All right,
Bye, gentlemen.
fantastic. The fuck? Oh, yeah,
I am all right. You ain't all right.
What am I on the pay me no mind list? And by the way, Johnny Boy came up with a good line the other day because he was. I was talking about how Malignaggi is still dogging McGregor. He still wants to fight Conor McGregor in a boxing match, and he wants to fight Lobov in a rematch as well. And I said, look, Malignaggi didn't embarrass boxing because he went in there for himself. And then Johnny Boy goes, and when you go in for yourself, there ain't no teamwork. Oh, fuck, I fucked up the quote. It was a quote from the Untouchables. Anyway, listen, that's about as good a time to end it. Me butchering quotes from classic movies. We're gonna go to second renaissance. Jonathan Mercer says,
I'll meet you on the other side.
There you go. See you on the other side there. Recognize. Thank you for
All
joining
right,
us,
brother.
man. Take it easy. We'll see you on the other side. Jonathan Mercer says, can you leave that link in the chat? You the second renaissance link? Well, it's right there, man. And if you don't know what second renaissance is, just go to the BDA YouTube channel, go to channels, and that's where you see all our secondary channels, including BDA Live, where you can catch our film analysis, exclusive film analysis over there. Recognize Gonzalo, Bucho, myself. Every once in a while, somebody else drops by. So check that out. Guys, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. We're going to, like I said, go over to second renaissance. Shout out to Chris K, E.T. Who said that? E.T. Mr. The Zone? E.T. Mr. The Zone, who donated via the super chat as well. My Team Over Yours, Endgame. And who else? Was somebody else donate? I think, hopefully I didn't miss anybody, guys. Did somebody else just donate now? I don't see it. Anyway, I heard the sign there. Guys, thank you to everybody who contributed to the super chat, and everybody, of course, who joined us here listening. The Raw Hawa, Straight G, Hawker Mustang, Jonathan Morrison, all the guys who called as well. Mello Warner, Pink Panther, Richard Pavlik, Padja, Virtuoso, Smarty Jones, Rahoy, Cabel T, the Straight G, Turo, Anathimar, High Roller, aka I think that's the Gambler, L Dog, Velocity Cuts, Uncle Burn Apostrophe, shout out to Uncle, Official Scorecard of Boxing, shout out to Official Fight the Power, Grievous, Saint Brit, Johnny Boy was here as well, PED, everybody that joined us on the Discord as well, recognize Jimmy, Johnny Boy was in there as well, Bucho. Guys, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for Second Renaissance over at the Second Renaissance channel, link right there on the chat, and also on the YouTube page, the BDA YouTube page. Check it out. And it is telling me, Bucho's telling me, G Boogie just donated. Hold on, G Boogie just donated with a super chat. Shout out to G Boogie, $10. G Boogie, you're the best. Thanks a lot. We're gonna see you on the other side, guys. Take it easy.
Disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.